Well, from a hearty discussion on TIE and leveraging the TIE network for funding to now coming to this session. What's the sign of a great cricket player? I must ask you right now. Well, in my opinion, he or she is one who can read the game very well, which gives them an edge to predict the future of the game and where it's going to be. Perhaps not in its entirety, but even more so, it allows them to extract some information which prepares them for what may come next. Our next speaker is not only a cricket enthusiast who loves to blog, but is also someone who can read the markets very well and predict where they might go or what surprises may come up next, much like great cricket players, So here I can safely say that he's a great player both on and off the pitch. After having played various roles in the organization that he's currently at, from consulting and advisory roles to portfolio management to delivery leadership, he is now the managing director of Accenture, based in Japan. And he joins us from Tokyo specially to talk to us about inventing the future. After all, the best way to predict the future is to create it, right? And in conversation with him is our esteemed moderator, Mr. Partap Agarwal, founder and CEO of IDS Infotech Limited, leading one of the earliest IT companies in the region, with a vision of helping organizations worldwide be ready for an AI-driven environment. There you go. That's another element of predicting the future, right? And IDS, I must inform you, is one of those few companies which has crossed the 1,000-employee barrier, a feat in itself. And since Eishvinder sir specially joins us from Japan, so Konbanwa sir, I hope you're doing well. And over to you, Pratap sir, to take it forward.
Hey, Niharika, as always, very good. Thank you so much. And Ish, very welcome. Very good Friday evening, and everyone, good afternoon. I am going to have a conversation with none else but Eishvinder and Eishvinder Singh, the managing director at Accenture in Japan. The first thing I must tell you, I must start with that exciting note that we are talking to somebody who is our homegrown Mohali boy, Chandigarh da Munda hai ji sade naal, and that is that is a good story, and I think that gave me so much comfort, because the first time when I heard that I have to do it, I was a bit nervous. I said, yeah, I'm going to talk to some guy who will be like, I don't know from where all, and now that gave me a lot of comfort. Ish, and very welcome to this TICON. Ish, I will let you speak more, but very quickly, I know that you are from the same college where we came. Many of us in the audience are from Punjab Engineering College, and that also gives us another data point to connect with a lot of us in Chandigarh who all know Punjab Engineering College very well. And I feel good in telling everyone that Ish is also a graduate of 1994 from Punjab Engineering College. So thank you, Ish, for giving us your time, giving us your confirmation to join us today. I'll straight away jump into asking you a question. From Mohali, of course, to your journey to Accenture, and then now you're in Japan. So I'll let you just speak a little bit about your life journey to the audience. Here you go.
Sure. So first, konnichiwa to everyone in India and around the world. Very honored to be here talking to such an esteemed personality as yours, as yours as well, Mr. Partap. You've accomplished so much. So while I aspire to be a global citizen, having lived in and worked in about 8 different countries, I'm at heart, as you said, Chandigarh da Munda ji. Did my 10th in Kendriya Vidyalaya in Sector 47, went to DAB College, moved on to Punjab Engineering College in 94, did my BE in computer science. I think it was the 3rd batch really of computer science at those times. Then went on to Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta to do my MBA. 96 was when the IT was booming. And my sense of timing is the other way. So while the world was moving to IT, I moved away from IT. I went into sales and operations with an FMCG company in India. 2000, there was this dot-com bust. And when the world was moving away from IT, I actually stepped back into IT and started driving business transformation programs. I joined Accenture about 19, 20 years ago. And every 2 years, I've been kind of changing the country I live in, changing the role that I've been doing, kind of continuously evolving, but within the same firm. So really excited to actually move on from one place to another, and kind of going to this theme of adapting, continuously adapting with what was required at that moment in time. And right now, I drive what we call a practice of intelligent platform service solutions. And my job really is to ensure that for driving transformation, we don't do technology just for technology's sake, but really looking at adding value for our clients. So that's what I do for a living.
Very nice. Thank you, Ish, for such an impressive introduction and sharing us a background. Ish, I will ask you a question, because the TIE is all about entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship is all about customerism, as they say. So, what is in your sense? What is the meaning of the word which we always hear, omotenashi? This we hear that, hey, look, the Japanese are the best in that. They use this concept of omotenashi, which is like kind of anticipating customer needs, anticipating. And we have experienced on my several visits to your country, Tokyo. I've experienced it personally, and I think you need to tell us what is it, where it comes from, why it's so ingrained such a way. Give us a deeper insight to that.
Yes, I mean, Japan is unique. When I was moving into Japan, I was getting into this thinking that it's probably the most methodical country out there, right? That's what they prioritize, right? And we'd heard about the manufacturing techniques, we'd heard about the concept of Kaizen, we'd heard about this whole fantastic, ways of working they have, where they focus a lot more on quality. What I also realized is it's not just the method, it's the mindset of service mindset that they have as well. One of the first advice I got was, everywhere in the world, customer is king. In Japan, customer is emperor. So you got to treat the customer one level more. They have this concept, as you said, omotenashi, which primarily says the face to the customer that you put should be devoid of any self-focus. So omoton, it should not have any self-focus. So if you really bring in that sincere face, if you really bring in the service mindset by anticipating the needs of the customer or the client beforehand, then automatically that trust equation gets formed and they will really patronize you. One of the results we found here is people are willing to pay the premium as long as you show the sincerity and you show that you will partner with them in the long run. This focus of omotenashi is not just there in the service industry. You go to any retail outlet, for example, we have these concept of konbinis, and I'm sure you've been to some konbini in Japan, which is the 7-Elevens or the Family Mart they have. Right? That one store, they've actually looked at what does a customer need, right? And everything from transferring money to paying your bills to actually having a photocopy or a printing shop to being able to buy anything that might be required to actually serving as a Amazon pickup and drop center. It's just looked at all of them in one small shop at one small corner, and they're open 24 hours. So it's a lot more of how do you really bring that customer focus to life and start looking at the customer is the most important. What would that person need? Let's look at anticipating their needs. And I think as entrepreneurs, that's exactly what mindset we should be operating in as well. Put them at that pedestal, and they will then ensure that you become partners for the long run.
Ish, I have a question. I'm going to interrupt you there on this question. Ish, many of us in the TIE, our membership, we serve the Western country. Huh? Obviously, Japan is bit kind of a little off the radar for the IT companies as a service as of now. But most of our clients are in the Western Europe as well as in US, Canada, in that space. So what is the I would say, since you've lived in all these countries, what is the key difference in this omotenashi versus serving a client or a customerism in the West?
I think I think somewhere it goes back into meeting the needs to perfection. Right? We have this joke when the US actually ordered a certain set of parts,
Share
right? And I'm
that.
sure you've heard of this, right?
Share
And
that. Share that. It's always good to hear that.
yes, right, where they basically said that, we are only going to allow 2 defects per 10,000 of those parts that they were sending. And the Japanese actually sent those 10,000 in 2 parts, and they said, here are your 10,000 parts, but we didn't know why you wanted 2 defective ones as well. So we've created 2 additional defective ones and sent those across. I think that's the level of customer focus that they're really talking about, the
Right.
sheer focus on quality. And it comes into my IT industry. I mean, just to give you an example, we do project implementations, right? And in India, we especially have this concept of jugaad. I think in some ways, Japan is just the polar opposite of that. We had this functional requirement given across, and I actually gave it to my team in India, which was working for a Western client, and I asked them, how many test conditions would you have for this? And they came back with 7 test conditions. I gave the same thing to my team in Japan, and I said, come up with test conditions. They came up with 43 test conditions, right? So you can see this order of magnitude difference here, 43 versus 7. I mean, their test conditions was, what suppose there is a server failure when this transaction is happening? What suppose the person makes this mistake? So all kinds of negative part testing, all kinds of scenarios being envisaged and all of that. That kind of ensures that the output that you produce will have that much higher level of quality. It might take time. It takes time here, but the quality difference then plays, and that's what kind of that way of perfecting and reaching up to the customer's expectation is a completely different order of.
Very good explanation, very good insight, Ish. Thank you so much. Ish, one more leading question to this. We heard about Deming, Jurong, Phil Cosby stories at that time between US and Japan, and how the whole migration happened of the quality concepts. Is there any modern concept which is slowly getting migrated to the West just to sustainability for surviving in the West?
I think there is this whole concept of adapting. I mean, I'll probably touch on this in this way. Back in 1964, Japan had their first Olympics, their Summer Olympics, right? We know about Second World War, that got bombed. Some of their major cities and industrial hubs actually got absolutely destroyed, right? So they were in a very poor condition after the Second World War. They still decided to host the Olympics. And at that Olympics, they actually announced that they are going to be the world's most industrialized country. They took that as a pledge in that Olympics. And we saw in the 70s and the 80s how Japan emerged as the most industrialized country in the world, right? Japan now is actually hosting the Olympics again. It was supposed to be in 2020. It was postponed due to COVID to 21. And they are treating this as another inflection point. They have a huge talent crunch. And they are basically treating this as this point where they're going to announce to the world that we'll be the most roboticized or the most automated country in the world. I mean, their economy, for example, this year will grow by 2.5%. But their population is aging. It's actually, working population is degrowing by 0.5% every year. So if you start seeing there is this 3% gap that they are already having, and that is expanding, right? And that's their only way is to either maybe import talent, which becomes difficult because language is a challenge, or the other thing is, let's automate it, let's roboticize it. So when you talk about robots, well, the mecca or the headquarters of robots in a lot of ways is out here, right? When they talk about specialization, it's out here. I mean, we talk of how mobile phones are made in China, right? While China is making mobile phones, Japan realized that was not their competency because it's very, very rapid, continuous evolution. They are a bit slow. They will do it something thorough. So what do? They actually now build all the components that go into the mobile. So all the specialty items that go, they are actually doing it here. And I think that specialization, that quality focus, that aspect of specialization is what is now kind of getting propagated. Apart from obviously the whole anime industry and some of those concepts that come in, from the manga comics here. I'm sure you are exposed to those as well. I think Japan has a lot to export.
Each I mean, we recognize the gap. We recognize there is a competence gap of some kind when we hear you like this, between the way our education system has been, or the way we have gained our competence versus the way the Japanese culture or the Japanese have built their competence. Do you see Indian entrepreneurs, because we all talk about entrepreneurship again and again, do we as an Indian entrepreneur have opportunities in Japan? What kind of opportunities we could have? Because it looks like that we can't build anything like that. We are too far away from them. We are good in service industry. We are good in certain part of doing the world class work, but not to the levels with Japanese. So it's a bit of an opaque feeling. Like we go to US, everyone I feel meet in US, looks like my client. I can do something for this guy. But to Japan, even when you get off the plane, you don't know what can I do for them, because they look like they are different. So tell us, where are the overlaps for an Indian entrepreneur in Japan?
Very good question, sir. The way I would look at it, I think there are two areas of collaboration that you can have with Japan. One is for the Japanese market, and they're always willing for specialized items, specialized goods, right? So if, for example, you've got a unique setup, say it might be in the agri industry or something, where you can collaborate with them and actually come up with a product which is not found in their part of the world, fantastic. It'll be a great opportunity. The second is also the other way around, where the Japanese are looking for tapping onto and enhancing the Indian market itself. So you see a lot of Japanese companies coming up with investments, looking for partners in India where they can bring in their agri-tech industry inputs, or something which they do in the chemicals industry, or we know that they are very good in auto and consumer electronics, but they're also extremely good in textiles. They're good in specialty chemicals. They are fantastic in pharmaceuticals. So there are a whole lot of these processed foods. There are a lot of those areas where they are coming up with investments, willing to partner with folks who are willing to commit to them. The other aspect, as you just said, is what is their strength also at times ends up being a work area for them, especially in the technology space, where agile ways of working, where working and moving things in a much more faster manner and having that ability to come up with a prototype in a much more rapid fashion, that is not something that is there in their mindset. And sometimes in the new world, you actually need to work there as well. So any kind of areas where you can complement their ways of working with rapid prototyping happening from, say, at our end, and actually support that rapid prototyping and give them those kind of capabilities, those would be additional opportunities as well. That's actually my role of what I'm doing within my organization also, in terms of trying to bring together India with Japan.
Any scope of still selling Punjabi food in Japan? And can still open a Punjabi restaurant?
Tokyo कोने कोने ते सारे Indian restaurant है. I mean, as you can know, UK, which we say that chicken tikka masala has now become their national dish. Out here, butter chicken is the standard outing out here.
I thought they won't. That is the news to me. I never like that.
Yes, I think Tokyo would have close to more than 150 plus, and it's an expanding business.
But the locals go there too, huh? Locals go there too.
Locals here as well. So I think somewhere between 30,000 to, actually, I think we had some 40% plus growth in 2019 in terms of the number of Indians here. 2020 slowed down ho gaya thoda, but it's kind of picking up again. I mean, we play cricket here, so we have a cricket league. Japan was in the under 19 cricket World Cup. We lost very badly to India, but it was there. So my son plays cricket. So
let me ask you another question linked to that. Since you touched upon a little bit of the Japanese industry, we always talk about that the future cars may not come from the the floors of Japanese cars, or the even to the extent of Teslas, where people talk about a platform cars from Google or from some of those platform cars which will come in. How the Japanese are known for their over the years, and I think most of our lives we have looked at Japanese cars as a one thing that we must have in our garage. So what do you think that where that industry is going? Are they building platforms like Google? Are they building something of that kind to look at the future of the future sustainability in the car industry?
Absolutely. I think the market in this area is just about evolving. It's just about developing. It's early stages.
Right.
Japanese, given their ways of working, will be slow to the start. But when they come up with something, it will come up with the most robust platform. Already, if you see some of the announcements that have started coming out from Nissan, they are much more futuristic in nature and much more robust in nature than what Teslas and the other worlds are working on. There is a completely different focus on the hybrid platform kind of an approach that Toyota is investing on. So much more on the hybrid and hydrogen side, where they believe it's not going to be only the battery operated cars that will operate. So they have a much more of a forward looking mindset, right? I mean, I'm in the business of technology, and we really look at predicting what's next in technology. I think there are 4 or 5 key trends which we see coming in from here. One of the first trends is I think, which we all realize, is this whole generation is moving from a me to we generation. Right. I think our entire world is becoming much more interconnected and much more complex. And it is no longer a situation where I go to a client or a customer and say, I can solve your problem. Instead, I need to sit with the customer along with 2 or 3 other partners who bring in different expertise. And together we stare at looking at that complex problem we have and see how we can solve that problem. So more multi-party system kind of setups, interactions and flows are likely to happen. And we're seeing this also. You talked about cars. They're talking about developing mobility platforms where different vendors can come in and bring in their expertise and offer an end-to-end wholesome experience to the client. Because every single one of us is a technologist in some way or the other. I mean, everybody, earlier we used to say, the Westerners don't know how to use computers. That's when we started off, right? Now every kid is growing with a fantastic computer in their hand. And everybody's a technologist. And with RPA and codeless automation and all things coming in, with DevOps being out there in terms of being able to provide the right kind of capabilities to them, with a microservices based architecture, everybody's going to be a technologist, and you need to somehow be able to cater to that technologist setup as well. So I think these are some of the trends which will very much drive the future. And some of it is really, those concepts are coming in from Japan as well.
You already partially answered my next question, but I think I'll take it a little further. Since you were, come back to Accenture for a minute, you are very well plugged in with the technology vision of Accenture, I would say. What is that? What is in few words, can you explain how Accenture is seeing the technology of the future?
Few words, they're mushkil honge, but
I mean, whatever you can share.
So we have every year we publish what we call our Accenture technology vision, and every year we kind of refresh it. Earlier it used to be at longer periods of time, but now the way the technology is moving, every year we refresh it. So this time it kind of talks about the first concept it says is that really each one of us, every leader is a technology leader. You cannot have leadership or entrepreneurship now in the new world unless and until you are on top of the technology, because if you're not, somebody using technology will go ahead and disrupt you. Right. And so you've got to absolutely look at how can you take advantage of technology and stack your architecture accordingly. And that stacking of the architecture, whether you are bringing in some kind of flexibility through adopting the cloud technologies, looking at some kind of automation, looking at AI, looking at picking up the right microservices stack that can help and provide flexibility for you to adopt. That's going to be a very critical component of this, right? The next thing that we really talk, which is thanks to COVID, it has accelerated, is now technology and usage is anywhere and everywhere. I mean, we are talking as if it would have been face to face. And given this anywhere and everywhere, how can you come up with new value propositions that different other, brick and mortar companies or other legacy players may not have thought of? And I think as entrepreneurs, if we look at opportunities there, it becomes big.
Fantastic.
The third big trend we see is really what we call the mirrored world, which is now every single thing is going to have a mirror in technology. Whether it is complex situations, whether it is, earlier it was, can I create a simulation? Now it's much more than simulation. Now it comes to maintenance of factories, to monitoring, to actually our own currency itself has been in some ways mirrored across, right? So I think that trend is going to be attracting the most amount of investments and focus areas coming up over there. So these are some of the things apart from the me to we and the focus around stacking strategically and technologist focus that we have that I talked about.
If you touched upon a language as a barrier in Japanese coming to India or doing their work, but what is the mindset? I think language is one part which can still overcome, but mindset on outsourcing work, is that a constraint in some way in their mind, or they're open to that?
There are some constraints, some of them valid, some of them are barriers which you can help address and cross. There is a cultural difference which with respect to their focus. We talked about testing and quality. Any kind of project that you do, we love to start off, let's roll up our sleeves and get into the action. Especially as Punjabi, we love doing. Not them, right? They will get into an envisioning, a planning phase. It'll almost seem like there is a long time between them to take a decision, but they will get the vision right, they will get the planning right. Then their build is much faster. Then their testing takes an inordinate amount of time, right? Now that mindset change needs to be learned by us on our side in India, and we need to align to that. But once you align and you're able to show that you have that sincerity of focus, that even if you produce something which does not meet the quality, that you are really concerned with it and you are immediately reacting to it and you're able to correct it, they accommodate those. They understand that we have this mindset of an iterative mindset. As long as you are continuously improving and are able to meet that quality, then the partnership equation really starts forming, and then the whole model kind of moves on its own. So that's the mindset change or the barrier that you were talking about that we need to cross.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Ish, thank you so much for that. Ish, I have to take a waiver from you. Is that okay that we can continue for another 10 minutes? Although our scheduled time was up to that, but organizers asked me to, since we are all enjoying this conversation so much, can we continue for another 10 minutes with you?
Yes, sir. As I said, I'm in the business of giving gyan. 10 more minutes is good for me.
That's all right. So thank you so much for that. So let me continue with my next set of questions on that. But of course, you explained the mindset barrier part, and you also talk about. So just tell us, we are talking about Accenture. You share a little bit about your technology vision of Accenture. Can you mind sharing some opportunities many of us in here in Chandigarh see as an opportunities to work with Accenture in some way? What are the opportunities Accenture brings to entrepreneurs in this region?
Absolutely, sir. We've got a division in Accenture which is focusing on startups. Okay. So just search on Accenture Ventures, right, and you will get the linkage there itself, or feel free to reach out to me also. But eventually just reach out to Accenture Ventures. And we've actually engaged with 5,000 plus startups. We actually have our own partner in innovation system with venture capitalists. We partner with them, so we have 30 plus of those own, and we've actually invested in a lot of startups as well. So we consume because we are a large company. more than 500,000 employees around the world. We consume a lot of output of these startups, and we are in the business of creating value and helping drive change at our clients. And we are seeing that a lot of companies that come up with startups, they have some fantastic products, and we can partner with them and actually help them scale up. So there's a company called Visa, which is in the wellness industry, right? We tapped onto them, we used them internally, found them good. Now we've taken them to 50 other countries, and we are actually taking them to multiple clients. There's a startup called Yellow Messenger. I mean, their valuation is significantly going up because we are taking them across to 30 plus different clients and partnering with them. The challenge is we do, however, focus on a certain set of industries or companies. First, it has to be B2B. We are not in the B2C kind of industry setup. It's B2B. The second is we work with growth stage companies. So it's like $500,000 plus, and then we can help you grow, because that's where we are most impactful. We can scale up. We actually partner with you around those. And then we can really scale up in terms of that. The third is we work with deep technology companies, because if it's something which is service-based, that's something that Accenture can do. That's our bread and butter. It's complementary skills. If you're coming up with, if you have some IP and some good technology, content out there in deep technology, whether it's AI, Industry X, or smart manufacturing, or AI, or anything, then we can really help you expand the base of where it can be applied and how it can really start impacting different clients around the world. And that's the partnership that is most complementary. So anything like that, feel free reach out to Accenture Ventures, and we'll be love to
absolutely a great new insight to all of us. Ish, I and my wife just concluded reading a book called Ikigai. I hope I'm saying it right. It's called Ikigai, I guess. Fantastic. Yes. It's a strong recommendation to everyone in the audience to read it. But I always felt that book has applied to me in a personal life, and we can apply it personal. Can that be applied in an organization concept also, or as a company level also? How far we can take Ikigai to? I leave it to you to explain a little bit to the audience. What is Ikigai in your terms, because you live in Japan, and how that can be applied to our own companies?
And I'm sure we've seen this in, I think, some WhatsApp forwards as well, right?
Yes,
it's all about the essence or reason of existence, right? I think it comes down to what really drives you, what really motivates you. But what I've found is, one concept of Ikigai, I mean, it applies to us in life as an individual. What do I really get up for in the morning and go to office for, right? From that concept. But what I've also learned is that your Ikigai keeps changing at different phases in your life. The Ikigai that I had when I was a bachelor fresh out of college was very different post-marriage and post-kids. Is very different from potentially what I would do once I retire, right? And I think that same concept needs to be applied to our organizations, especially as entrepreneurs. When you start off, right, you have a certain sense of excitement, and you really want to really achieve something with your organization, and you actually have a sense of Ikigai out over there, which really defines your essence, right? And then you achieve success, fantastic. But then you need to scale it to the next level. That's when your Ikigai needs to be relooked at, and you need to kind of start looking at where that change is going to happen. And I've seen organizations get caught up in this fundamental aspect of how much to exploit versus how much to explore. There's got to be this balance between exploitation of the market that you're doing versus exploration of new markets and new areas. And I think in this new age world, you need to be able to do both. And it needs separate teams and separate people to look at, because there are some people who are very good at exploiting. Put those team members there, but there are other people which need to be focusing on exploration, because that continuous evolution has to happen. That really will ensure not just survival, but growth and scale up as well.
Fantastic. This is very, very good. So, I mean, one more line you need to add about ikigai. I mean, do you use it in your personal life? Tell a little bit about your personal life here. Yeah.
I think one of the aspects that I really look at in a lot of ways is bringing people together. Um, you know, eh, if I look at trying to define my focus in life, or one liner that kind of defines what I do, my sense of ikigai comes in by a statement called "Let's make things better." And that's the way I believe. I think everybody is going through their own set of challenges, their own set of हर एक के घर में, हर एक की life में कुछ कश्मकश है, and then they often reach out to you as leadership, to advise as to and sometimes it's clients who reach out, sometimes it's organizations who reach out, sometimes it's people who reach out. And every time, if you go with this mindset of how can we make this better, and let's make it together better together, that's the sense of ikigai that I have. For me, every single interaction kind of helps in getting into over there, right? So together, let's make things better.
Fantastic, Ish. That is fantastic. You've done absolutely great today. Ish, I need a couple of more promises. One, we won't let you go that far away, and then because you are from Mohali. So please promise us that whenever you are in this area, you will give us a chance to all our TiE members, and hopefully we'll do a face-to-face at that time. So please promise us that right on this forum that yes, you will do that. Can we have your word on that?
Yes, sir. Looking forward कि दिवाली इकट्ठे मनावांगे.
Very good.
Probably. Let's see.
And the second one, I don't know, this setup is not ready for the questions taking right now. We'll have another session, maybe even if this continues some other day, and we'll come back to you. And in the meantime, I'll collect some questions and build up a new conversation with you. I'll call it the conversation 2.0, the next one. And at that note, let me say a big thank you to you, Ish. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone at TiE, for getting me connected to Ish. What a wonderful evening this has been.
Thank you. Let me also hand this over to all the entrepreneurs. May you find your ikigai in life and keep evolving it as well. Best wishes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the amazing conversation. For all the attendees who are here, I would request them to leave this room. We have 2 parallel sessions going on. They will start at 5. So first session is a masterclass on leadership, and the other is Punjab as next global destination.
Good, guys.
So with your permission, sir, may I end this session?
Yes. Thank you.